Hey guys, so first off, I'd like to say this video is targeted towards new players, and I was testing out a new microphone that I got, which you can see right here. So I was focusing more on trying to improve the audio of the video, so the video quality is lacking. But given how my previous microphone picked up, it couldn't get much at a distance. I really think that this is a improvement. Now, you may disagree with me, but I just want to be clear that I'm aware that the video quality is lacking, and I would like to issue a formal apology for that. With that out of the way, video's over there. Enjoy. Hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode. And we've got some wonderful news this week. As all my American friends out there know, last Thursday was Thanksgiving, which means it is officially after Thanksgiving, and that means that we can officially start setting up our Christmas decorations without looking like freaks. So, with that out of the way, let us begin. First off, I would like to apologize for any background noise. Getting this ready, it's still a little warm out, so I've got the air conditioning going. So I will apologize in advance if the microphone is picking up the air conditioning and it ruins the whole thing. That out of the way, this week we're talking about elves. And no, not our happy little friends that work in Santa's workshop. Because according to D&D lore, the description of the little short people building things fits more of a description of gnomes, but I'll rant about that later. For now, we'll be talking about elves. And since I'm busy putting up the tree, I made myself a little cheat sheet. So, I don't have the book on hand right now, but I did take notes from it, which is highly advisable whenever you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. No matter how insignificant something seems, you should always take notes of it because it may be important later. For instance, I'm skipping a couple of rows on this tree and starting higher up. That is important later because we'll be sticking presents underneath this row. Now you have no idea how often those little things can amount into a giant thing. Even more so when it's the players that think they found something and it's nothing, and the GM turns it into something. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Back to elves. They're tall, slender, and they weigh roughly between 100 pounds and 145 pounds. Which, that's actually pretty light. That's half of what I weigh. So, they have an incredible lifespan. Wow. It's been a little while since I wrote down those notes, so yes, I will be checking them periodically. Where's that hole? There it is. Where was I? Lifespan. Yes. Elves have a very long lifespan. They're tall, they got pointy ears. But did you know that they have a lifespan of over 700 years? I mean, imagine what it's like to be an elf. As people, we've got dogs that live 7, 8 years and then they die. That's the end of them. elves see humans as dogs, as far as the lifespan is concerned. One elf can see 10 generations of humans. So yeah, really put things in perspective there. Now, let's see. Oh, here's a fun one. Elves, as you could probably guess, get a +2 bonus to dexterity. That means they're great at jumping around, dodging. They're very bendy. So they're very good with ranged weapons and such. That they tend to lean towards good and chaotic alignments because they value freedom. Freedom is very important to elves. However, there is a special type of elf that lives in the dark, and that twists their views a little bit, and they lean more towards evil alignments. These dark elves are commonly referred to as drow, which that is one of the 3 subraces. Elves have a movement speed of 30 feet. That just means the typical combat round is 6 seconds long. Within that 6 seconds, they can move 30 feet, which is the average movement rate for most races. They also have dark vision, which I believe I spoke over in the last video. But if you missed that one, elves can see in the dark, but they can only see in shades of gray. They can see in dim light as if it were bright, and see in total darkness as if it was dimly lit. And their vision is up in that lower lighting is up to 60 feet. Unless you're a drow, which that is a special case we'll get to in a moment. Elves have a natural perception proficiency. Now, from my experience, getting proficiency from your race is something that is reserved for only a few races. So it's pretty neat. You get proficiency in perception just by being born an elf. You're much more perceptive. So you see everything. Everything! You also have a natural ability to have advantage against anyone trying to charm you. And magic cannot put you to sleep. Because for some reason elves don't like sleep. Personally, I love sleep. I don't really get it. But elves don't like sleep. That's why, instead of an 8-hour long rest, elves can sit down and instead of sleeping, they go into a meditative trance that lasts for 4 hours. And after that 4 hours, they gain the full benefits of an 8-hour sleep. So while humans go to sleep for 8 hours, an elf only has to meditate for 4. You also gain the Elvish language, and there are 3 sub-races: the High Elf, the Wood Elf, and the Dark Elf, also known as the Drow. I've got to get another row of limbs, so I'll see you as soon as I've got that. I got the limbs. Fantastic. Now we move on to our first sub-race. So, the abilities I mentioned before, all elves get regardless of sub-race. The sub-race that we will start with, the High Elf. These are the guys that are born with magic. The baby comes out in the hospital and immediately starts shooting firebolts everywhere. It's really a sight to see. Now, the high elves get a bonus to their intelligence. They get +1 to their intelligence score. And they have a natural proficiency with longsword, short bow, and longbow. Which for some people, that's all you really need. That's 4 weapons right there that you start off with proficiency in, regardless of whatever class you take. You get to choose 1 wizard cantrip of your choice and use intelligence as your spellcasting modifier. So if you try to make a wizard with a high elf, that's a free cantrip that you get. It's a free bonus cantrip. That's pretty sweet. You also get to learn 1 extra language. Any extra language that you want to know, you get to learn. Because high elves are seekers of knowledge. So it makes a little bit of sense that they would go out and learn a new language. Moving on to the wood elf. That's our next category, the wood elf. So wood elves are exactly what you think. Elves that typically live in the wood or live in nature. They get a bonus to their wisdom because living out in the forest makes you wise. Much like the high elves, wood elves also get a proficiency with longsword, short bow, and longbow. That's 4 weapons, proficiencies, just from choosing this as your race. Wood elves are faster than most races. They start out with a speed of 35 feet instead of 30. So they're a little faster than most races. They also get this unique ability to hide when they're lightly obscured by natural phenomenon. So, you're walking around through a bunch of fog, you're tracking down this wood elf, he runs into the fog, boom, he's gone. You don't know where he's at, you can't see him. You're chasing a human through fog though, you could still tell that there's a shape there, you could tell there's a person, you could still track it. But the wood elf, nope, they hide, they're gone. They leave you wondering what happened and if you were ever chasing anyone to begin with. Now, moving on to the dark elf, the drow. These guys live in the Underdark, which is exactly as the name would imply. It is underground and it is very dark. For some reason, this gives them a bonus to charisma, because what makes you better at talking to people than living in the dark your whole life? But living in the dark also gives them an extension on their dark vision. So while all elves can see in the dark up to 60 feet, the dark elves can be twice that far away and still see you in the dark. They have a dark vision of 120 feet. That is double what the other elves have. And while the high elf starts with a choice of a wizard spell, a wizard cantrip. The Dark Elves still get free spells just for their race, but it's a little different. They don't get to choose. They have the Dancing Lights cantrip. When they reach 3rd level, that's character 3rd level, they get Fairy Fire, with Charisma being their spellcasting ability. They can cast this spell once per long rest. So they cast Fairy Fire. After a long rest, they can do it again. But once they do it, they can't do it until they take a long rest. So that's that 4-hour meditation trance. At 5th level, they get another spell, Darkness, which they also can use once per long rest. While all the elves so far have gotten some sort of weapon proficiency, Dark Elves are no different. However, they don't get those same 4. They actually have rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. So that's only 3, but those are some very different weapons, and the choice of weapon can really change how a fight goes. That's it. That's all I got on elves. See you next week. Merry Christmas.